Now, I do have more to say about this, so tune in for part 2, where I'll go over the aftermath of Jonathan Fisher's loss.
Jonathan Fisher's streak began after he defeated 38-day champion Matt Amodio. Little did we know that Jonathan Fisher would go on a streak of his own and the only back-to-back double-digit champions in the history of Jeopardy! Before this, the only two back-to-back champions I recall seeing on Jeopardy! Were Andrew Howe and Buzzy Cohen. Even then, I was surprised about it.
All the time where one champion lost to another contestant who did almost as well as the multi-winners.
Now, of course, 5 wins solidifies your spot in the Tournament of Champions, so on Jonathan's 6th game, Mayim asked about him going head-to-head against Matt in the tournament.
You've secured a position in the next Tournament of Champions. You might go head-to-head with Matt Amodio. What do you think that would be like? The answer is, it'd be amazing. It's one of the highlights of my life to be here, but also to have played against Matt, so to do it again would just be icing on the cake. Mayim then tells him, well, I would love to see that, so I'm putting my vote in.
The funny thing is, Matt shared his own thoughts on this interview, calling it a free pass. We can't wait for Amodio, Matt, and JD the Fish to possibly reunite in the next Tournament of Champions. Matt replied, totally unfair. Jeopardy just gives Dish the Fish a free pass on an anecdote. Meanwhile, I'm left flailing with, I listen to music sometimes, and there was a bat. Did it do anything? No, it just sat there and went away. Don't worry, Matt. At the time this episode was released, only Ken Jennings had to tell more anecdotes than you. Speaking of Matt's anecdotes, I neglected to mention any of them. In fact, the only one I remember off the top of my head was technically a free pass, wasn't it? Getting recognized in public.
In the many anecdotal interviews, she asked Matt about getting recognized in public. We know so many things about you, and so many people now know you. You've started getting recognized, is that right?
Speaking of the contrast between Matt and Jonathan, Matt was a risky player and bet a lot. In his last few games, he consistently won over $50,000. Jonathan was a more conservative player. The game he beat Matt Amodio was when he played competitively. The next time it seemed to happen was on his 8th game when Anjali Chidambaram wagered $8,000 on the daily double and got closer to the lead. The following game, he was strongly challenged by Aaron Coningsby. Jonathan barely won that game by $4,000. I would have loved to see Aaron or Holly again. Jonathan suffered a similar fate as Matt, as both champions were struggling in a really competitive game the episode they lost. However, this was Jonathan Fisher's only non-conservative wager. When Jonathan answered Frost and O'Neill and got it right, Mayim told him, now you tend to be a conservative wager. You wagered $9,200, you went all in. Looking back, he really had no choice. Unfortunately for him, Nancy Donauer bet $9,000 and won that game by $1,000. This is the second time a super champion lost to a contestant named Nancy. The other was Ken Jennings. Both Nancy Zerg and Nancy Donauer lost immediately after. Speaking of Ken Jennings, he tweeted this. Ken Jennings tweeted, 2 10-plus day champs in a row, and I was surprised he didn't post anything when Jonathan lost since both their giant killers are named Nancy. Jonathan Fisher tweeted, that's it for my run on Jeopardy! Congrats to Nancy. Quite a name for a streak stopper, Ken Jennings, for a great game and a well-deserved win. This has been one of the best experiences I've ever had, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. The similarities between Ken Jennings and Jonathan Fisher are really funny when you think about it. Right after Matt Amodio won the most games since Ken Jennings, we get a subsequent super champion whose loss was very similar to Ken Jennings. As long as we're comparing two super champions, Jonathan Fisher won the same number of games as Arthur Chu. At the time, Arthur Chu held the record for the third most wins on Jeopardy, behind only Dave Madden and, of course, Ken Jennings. We all know Matt Amodio and Jonathan Fisher as the back-to-back double-digit champions. Arthur Chu won in 2014, the same year Julia Collins won 20 games. What a difference 7 years makes. After Jonathan Fisher won 10 games, the Jeopardy YouTube channel posted the season of Jeopardy Super Champs. Jonathan Fisher continues streak with 10th win. I didn't even imagine I'd win 1 game, so 9 more is pretty neat. I'm surprised Jeopardy didn't post the overheard on set when he lost. Mayim introduced the game after he lost, telling us that Nancy Donauer is the 3rd returning champion in season 38, which is still crazy when you think about it. Jonathan became the 11th 11-day winner, and at 11 wins, he's at 11th place for the most games won all time. Tied Arthur Chu. 2 1s, 2 11, 1 1. Yeah, you see the pattern. So, for as many coincidences there are so even though Jonathan Fisher and Ken Jennings have coincidences, Jonathan Fisher's win has coincidences of its own. That's really all I have to say. Congratulations again to Jonathan Fisher. We'll see him again in the Tournament of Champions.
And as always, thank you for watching.